Hey, my name is Faith, and I wanted to talk about why I haven't had sex in 3 years. And I know that sounds like a very long time, but it's not really a long time to me, I guess. But yeah, 3 years. I want to say October would have been like the 3 year anniversary. It was around like homecoming or whatever. So 3 years. Last time I had sex, it was with someone I was like frequently sleeping with. We weren't in a relationship. Um, I knew that they were sleeping with other people, and I just we stopped sleeping with each other because she was just like, "Hey, I think we'd be better off as just friends," and I was like, "Yo, you know what? You're probably right." Because at one point in time, I wanted a relationship, but then I was just like, they're not really the relationship type, and plus, they weren't really interested in a relationship with me, so it was just like, okay, it wouldn't have worked anyway. But yeah, we have been sleeping together on and off for a while, and they were just like, I think we should be just friends, because we were already best friends. So they were just like, I think we should just stick to being just friends. I'm like, that's a good idea, you know. So since then, I haven't had sex, and that was like 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago now, because it's November. But I know that can seem like a very long time, but there are a lot of ways that I just kind of learned to deal with it. First, I'm going to tell you the reasons why I decided to just, after that, just like stop. And the main reason is I don't feel like people really appreciate me when I'm just having sex with them. Like, this is just with my personal experiences. It feels like they just want me for my body. They're not interested in getting to know me or my personality or anything like that. And I was kind of sick and tired of feeling like that. Like, oh, you only want me for sex and sex, basically. Like, you only talk to me when you want to have sex. You only come over and hang out with me when you want to have sex. Like, I felt kind of bothered by that. Like, are people really interested in me, or is it just sex, you know? So that was basically the main reason why I was just like, you know what, you're right. After this, I think I'm just gonna stop for a little while. I never really exactly planned on it lasting this long, but it did, and it still is lasting. The reason that it's lasted this long is because I decided to not have sex again until I am in like a fully committed relationship with someone that I feel values me for me and not just for sex. Um, and basically, I have dated like people on and off, but not like serious. It was never really serious to the point where we got to that point. It was always like, um, sometimes it would just be them moving forward too fast. Like, they would immediately want sex like within days of knowing me, and I understand that, you being physically attracted to me. To be honest, I'd be physically attracted to them too, but I was just like, hey, no, if this is something really important to me, I don't want to just jump into this and it would just fall apart from there, because they were just like not seeing it from my point of view, or they would, and they were just like, oh, that's not gonna work for me, that kind of thing. And I'm that's their opinion, and that opinion happens for a lot of other people. Like, it works for some people to have sex immediately into getting to know someone, and for other people like me, we'd rather just wait a little while, make sure it's really genuine. But sometimes it's genuine from the beginning. It all depends on who you're with. And honestly, if I did meet someone and I felt like it was genuine from the very beginning, maybe I would. It's just not like a time period on how long I'm willing to wait. I'm just gonna, whenever I feel like I'm appreciated, is when I'm gonna actually do it. Um, yeah, basically, I want a relationship. I don't want to just have sex. Like, the last person I was with, they weren't understanding that I wanted us to be friends before we even got into a relationship. So when we did get into a relationship, I basically was just like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy, and I'll just let a few things slide. Blah blah blah. Long story short, we're not together anymore because I was letting things slide, and it wasn't. I was basically settling, and I'm glad we didn't do anything, because I'm just like, I don't want to settle. And not that it would be a waste, but I'd feel like it would still make me feel bad, and not feel like, I wouldn't feel like that I'm really appreciated. I would still feel like, hey, this person is just using me for sex again. I'm back in that same rut, that same pattern I was in, where I was only being talked to for sex, only being like, someone's always only talking to me sexually. Like, we can't have actual conversations. It's gonna always be sex. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. And those are basically the reasons why I won't. But also, I won't because I get kind of nervous when I don't know someone and I'm jumping into sex. Like, for some people, it's perfectly fine, and they use protection. They feel comfortable. They have their own protection. Like, everybody feels safe. But in my head, it's just, it doesn't always feel that way. Sometimes I think, like, was this person lying to me when they said that they don't have anything? Sometimes it can be kind of iffy when it's like, I'm gonna say girl and girl, but that can go with basically just two people with vaginas. They when they have sex, because we don't always think to use protection, because there's no possibility in us conceiving a child. So we don't think, hey, maybe I should use like a dental dam. That thought has come across my mind once. I ain't gonna lie, that thought came across my mind one time. One time me having sex, and I was just like, I don't feel like, that's too much work. I don't want to do I don't want to do that. So, and I know that kind of mentality will eventually lead to me ended up getting something, or maybe it wouldn't, but still, I could easily get something from someone who lied to me, and I don't want to be in that situation. That's another reason why I don't do one night stands, because I don't know that person at all. Like, I'm not willing to sleep with people that I don't know. That's just something, in my opinion, I'm just not willing to do. But yeah, so basically the main reason is I want to feel appreciated. I want to know that I'm being, that they're with me for more than just sex. So I want to wait, basically, until I feel like they want me for more than just sex. And the ways I've gotten through it so long, it's been a struggle. Like, the first couple months, I was basically like, what's wrong with me? Why? I would get like irritable. I'm still kind of irritable, but I would get like extremely irritable, and like I was tense. I'm just like, why am I like this? My friends are just like, you need some dick. Like, you need someone. You need to get that energy out of you. But eventually that went away. You learn to channel it into other things like exercise, yoga, schoolwork. When you focus that kind of energy on something else, you don't notice it as much. Also, I try not to tempt myself. Like, I'm not the kind of person that goes out anyway, but when I would go out, I would just go out with my best friends, and I try not to like really, I mean, I'm looking at people and I'm looking for people, but I'm not like tempting myself where I'm just like, that person, I'm gonna like talk to them, and I know in my head, like, Faith, you're not going to their house after this. You're not going with them after this. You're going back home. Just keep those thoughts in my head, like, hey, you will not have this one night stand. Even if I'm like really attracted to them, I'm like, just get their number. You'll talk to them later. That kind of thing. Another way that I deal with it is just it's masturbation. I know some people still think that women don't masturbate, but it's just human instinct to pleasure yourself. So I feel like that's just a really outdated way of thinking, and you should probably catch up. Like, try to do a little research, maybe not be so ignorant. But yeah, basically masturbation. I'm not the kind of celibate where I would refuse to masturbate. Like, I don't know why anybody would. I mean, I guess I understand why people would do it to get closer with themselves, or it might be a religious thing. But me personally, I still masturbate. There are too many toys and stuff out there for me to feel like, hey, I need someone else. I can't do it by myself. Like, no, I'm perfectly capable of doing it by myself. Yes, I do miss like the intimacy of being with another person, because there's nothing like having another person touch you or just feel another person intimately. But when I feel like I need to get rid of that kind of tension, then I'll just do it myself, basically. It's not like I haven't had people offer. Obviously, yeah, people like me, But I'm just not really, I still haven't found someone that is willing to be on the same page as me. Is like, hey, we're gonna wait a little bit until both of us feel like this is a step that we need to take. Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize how much of a connection sex is, and I feel like that's why a lot of people have bad sex. Like, sex only works if the chemistry is there. Like, there can be mental chemistry, but there isn't always like a sexual chemistry. Like, if you try it and it just doesn't feel right, you're just like, your brain is elsewhere, and like that's telling you, hey, this isn't it. This, you need to either, if they're a current partner that you really, really like, maybe you guys need to talk to each other about that. Maybe see a sex therapist. Me, in about maybe 6, 7, 10 years when I get my doctorate. Give me a little time. But maybe see like a sex therapist, I recommend. But I'm just not willing to settle for that kind of thing. I want to make sure everything is 10. Like, we're meeting mentally, we're meeting physically, we're meeting emotionally. I want to know all of that before we actually meet sexually. I want to make sure, hey, this is someone that I could really trust myself with. I can feel vulnerable with, because I don't know about you guys, but I can feel really vulnerable during sex. Them seeing me naked, like completely, it's basically like mentally naked and physically naked. Like, they are seeing physical insecurities I have about myself. I don't know, I get a little insecure about my skill wise when it comes to sex, because I'm just like, well, I'm experienced, but I'm not that experienced. Maybe they've done other things with someone, and like, maybe I'm not doing this. I don't know, I just get a little insecure when I feel with that kind of vulnerability. There's someone that should feel fully connected to. That's another reason why I'm just doing that kind of, I'm just waiting. But I don't think there's anything wrong with me deciding to be celibate for this long. And I don't see anything wrong with it if anybody else decides to do it, or if they're deciding to go even longer. I don't see anything wrong with you waiting until you want to get married. Make sure that that's your life mate, your soulmate, whatever you want to call it. I feel like that's just something that occasionally needs to happen to basically recenter yourself, reconnect with yourself, make sure this is something that you really want to do. Because a lot of people feel like sex is something that you have to do, and you don't really have to. There are other ways to be intimate in a relationship. Like, that's that's not the only way. And basically, it's okay to be like this. It's okay to be single and not want to see anybody, not want to talk to anybody until you feel like you got your life together. Even if another reason I'm celibate is because people are a distraction, like a real distraction. I tried dating someone for a month. Like, one, I'm not really good at dating like that, but we dated for a month and they were a distraction. I was having a hard time focusing in class, wondering what they were doing. Why haven't they texted me? When they were texting me, what are they talking about? Like, I would be in class texting instead of focusing on my teacher, or they would try to distract me when I'm studying, stuff like that. Like, so that's another reason, because people can be a distraction. And right now I can't have distractions. I need to focus on my goals. So that's another reason that I think being celibate is perfectly fine. I had a friend who, for a little while, decided to be celibate because they just, another reason like me, they were feeling like it was always just going to be sex, just sex, 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 sex. And they wanted to feel more connected with themselves, more connected with God in a religious sense. And they were just like, hey, I'm just going to take a couple steps back, bring this back down. Yeah, bring it back a little bit, maybe recenter myself, that kind of thing. So, basically that's why I haven't had sex in 3 years. I'm basically just trying to get myself back together, and I want to meet someone. Well, I want to wait until I meet someone who's willing to be on the same page as me before we physically do anything with each other sexually, basically. But I also don't think that there's anything wrong if you do immediately have sex with someone that you meet, or if you do have one night stands. It really all depends on the person and how you feel comfortable with yourself. Like that kind of thing just wasn't, I wasn't comfortable with it. I wasn't comfortable with the thought of it. Just to me, sex is such a meaningful thing, and just to willingly give myself over to someone that I barely even know, I don't know, not comfortable with that. I don't know. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will be putting up more videos. I do have a lot of topics I want to talk about. A lot of them are sex related because I do want to be a sex therapist. Um, so if you're interested in seeing anything more like that, or if you have any questions that you want to talk about, it could be like, I could do like an anonymous thing, like such and such. This is how I feel with my boyfriend. What do you think I should do? I do want you to know that I am not like a registered sex therapist. I don't have like my degrees or anything yet, but I am in school to get them. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you watch my next video. Bye.